We're going to be reacting to TikToks. We haven't done one of these in a while, so I'm curious to see what we have here. We have a good amount of TikToks to go through, and it looks like the first one we have here is about Discord Orb, which, playing tank, Discord Orb can be excited. Here we go.
Discord Orb is finally getting reworked in the mid-season balance patch. Gone are the days of the 25% damage buff. Now the orb applies a damage over time effect as long as it's attached to an enemy hero. This effect will give out, however, when the target reaches an eighth of their health, so you'll still have to land the killing blow yourself. This is one of the most wild reworks to date, and I can't wait to see how it plays out.
So, I just want to stop right here to let everybody know this is definitely not actually what's happening with the Zenyatta rework, but let me tell you, I wouldn't doubt it if one day Discord Orb randomly gets buffed and we're just going, what? Because as you know, anybody who plays tank against Discord Orb, right? People are coming into the chat asking about my thoughts about this. Oh, is that what the people are talking about when they're asking about the Zen Discord change? Oh, that makes sense, because there was a little bit of a time where like people were like, have you seen the Zen Discord change? I'm like, what? What Discord change? Yeah, no, this change isn't happening. I do think there's definitely discussion about the idea of, I mean, Discord Orb may need to be adjusted at some point, because like, I mean, at least from a tank point of view, you get Discord Orbed, and you have just obviously way less, I guess, effective HP. So I wouldn't doubt it if we eventually see a Discord Orb rework or a nerf at some point, but this is not the one.
3 bad habits of every new Lifeweaver. You most likely hold down your heal to the maximum every time. While in a perfect world, maximum healing output is optimal. The issue is holding till max can put a delay on when the healing gets received. This can put your teammates in danger against heroes like Genji that has a 50 HP breakpoint on his dash. This means anytime your teammates drop below 50 HP, Genji can immediately finish them off. So in this situation, it may be better just to pump out quick heals to keep them above that breakpoint. You're most likely not placing down a flower pre-fight.
I just want to talk about that very quickly. So, trying to like do the heals, okay, let me rephrase this. I find that my biggest problem with Lifeweaver is I can't go to 65 on the heals anyway, because once you fall behind on heals as Lifeweaver, your teammates, like, you can never catch up on heals. Like, you can't ever catch up on heals, it feels like. So the problem I run into is I can't even do the full 65 because you just cannot fall. You just fall behind. You can't even catch up. Like, you literally can't catch up because you're just so far behind on heals. Like, you'll be like, can you please stop taking damage, teammates, for 1 second? I can't catch up on heals. Yep. Oh, no, you took damage too. All right, sounds good. Oh, now there's 4 people who all have no HP. Give me a second here to charge up the heal. Oh, wait. Everybody's back in spawn again. Yeah, that's sweet. Okay.
Flower will not go away unless someone steps on it. The cooldown also starts immediately once you place it, so place a flower in a safe position pre-fight where a teammate won't step on it. This will give you a free escape and immediately start the cooldown of the next flower. And finally, you may be throwing team fights.
First of all, everyone knows now that when you throw your Lifeweaver pedal down to do anything for your teammates, either A, nobody takes it, or B, someone on your team randomly who's not going to use it runs over it so it goes up into the air anyway. Or C, you try to throw it down at your teammates and they just move immediately and it doesn't do anything. That's what happens every time I use the flower on Lifeweaver.
With your life grip. You have to understand when your teammate is out of position or just doing their job. Learning the roles of other heroes can help with this. Example, you may pull back a Tracer that's trying to make space. If you never have played Tracer, she may seem overextended, when in reality, she was just pressuring the enemy from a safe off angle. And now that you pulled her back to your team, the enemy doesn't have to worry about having a Tracer on their back and they can focus in one direction.
Okay, I mean, like, the thing I have with Lifeweaver's pull, and this is just how I see it with Lifeweaver's pull, I feel like you spend so much time with, like, the life grip doing absolutely nothing. I mean, like, absolutely nothing. You spend more time waiting to use the ability in, like, a efficient way than actually even using the ability. Because you're like, okay, I'm going to save my teammate from taking damage. Okay, nobody's taking damage. I'm going to save my teammate when they get purpled. I can't cleanse, but I can save them. Okay, nobody's getting purpled. All right, I'm going to use this ability to help my Cassidy high noon. All right, my Cassidy to the side of the high noon right in front of them to reload. All right, when do I use it? When do I use it? And like, you end up just using it randomly, right? Out of nowhere, you're like, okay, nothing's happening. I want to use this ability because it's a part of my kit. You then use the ability, and then you need it 4 seconds later after you waited 2 minutes to even use it. That's what I've noticed with Lifeweaver sometimes when I play Lifeweaver. Also, these are great tips, by the way. I think Rao does a lot of really cool tips like that too. I've seen a few of the TikToks, so definitely worth watching those. This will be an interesting one.
That Blizzard has done wrong with Overwatch 2 Part 1, the Overwatch competitive system. I have truly never played a game with a more unbearable ranking system until it came to Overwatch 2. Tell me why you can go 5-0 and still not rank up. Tell me why people are punished because of teammates leaving.
Okay, we're going to talk about one thing here with the 5-0 thing. Here's the problem, and I've talked about this with ranked in general. All right? The problem with the 5-0 thing is that, and I don't know what system they're using, but if they're using a similar system in Overwatch 1, but it's now under like the GM1 or like Plat 1, etc. system, sometimes going 5-0, you will not climb. Because the amount of wins and like the SR, right? Like I say, like the amount of wins in the SR, because there's like a hidden MMR, may require more than 5 wins. Okay, but what is the problem there? You don't know how many games you need to climb. You have no idea. It's not as direct to be able to tell you, like, listen, you go 5-0, you're not going to climb. If you go 8-0, guaranteed climb. But you don't know that, right? You just don't know. And I've talked about that a little bit. There just needs to be more information. Even if there's just an XP bar, like, I know they tell you, like, the percentage, right? But even if there was, like, an XP bar or, like, a bar that was, like, you don't even have to show the number there. It just shows that you're this close to leveling. It's a little bit more, it's a bit more of, like, you know, you just don't know. And that's why when people go 5-0, they're like, why didn't I rank up? I went 5-0. Because probably what happened is you were at the beginning of Gold 2, you went 5-0, and now you're like somewhere 75% into Gold 2, but it doesn't make any sense as to why you're not climbing. Because there's no like definitive way to even see that. And then the lever thing, I think the reason why they have the lever system like that in place is because they don't want people to like duo queue and have their teammate, like, you'll have one person who's really trying to climb, and then one person's like, I don't even care, I'll leave, so you don't have to, like, lose your SR. I think they're trying to have it so that system isn't, like, used like that. I think that happens in a lot of games. Like, because people will do that, so they're trying to, yeah, anyway.
And tell me why we get absolutely no reward for any of the hard work we do for this game and its competitive system. There are so many things I can point out about this system, but I'm going to highlight the first thing.
All right.
The borders and the looks and the icons are awful, and they're extremely unappealing compared to the Overwatch 1 version. The matchmaking system is even worse.
I will say, I definitely really did enjoy the Overwatch 1 ones. I actually would not doubt it if they eventually change all of these into, like, a new system at one point. I would not doubt it.
Worse, there are Diamond ELO people in Gold ELO people. There are Masters ELO people in Platinum ELO people, and Platinum ELO people in Bronze level ELO.
Okay. The reason why this is happening, just so you know about the matchmaking, I just want to talk about this for a second. The reason why that happens is because there was the decay system that they used to have, but then if people didn't play during that time, and they fell behind on, like, climbing up, but their hidden MMR was different, this is the problem. This is why it's so hard to tell sometimes, because the hidden MMR is different than your actual MMR in game. They removed that, but if people weren't playing, they weren't able to catch up there in time. So people who haven't played for a little bit or weren't playing as much weren't able to catch up to their MMR. So what ends up happening is they end up having a higher rank or a lower rank, but if they're actually in that rank, but it doesn't show that they're in that rank, so they'll be in plat, but they're actually silver now, but vice versa. But the game hasn't caught up yet, and that's why when you have two different MMRs, you get these games where you have people who are in a completely different SR, but then in reality, they're actually in the same SR, but they haven't actually got to that point yet because the decay system is gone now, but it hasn't caught up yet. I hope that makes sense. Basically, there's two MMRs, and for a while, they had it so the hidden MMR was way different than what you saw on your screen. Then they said, okay, we know people don't like the decay system, so we're getting rid of that. It's going to catch you up more to what your hidden MMR is, but if you haven't played, or you don't play as much, you haven't caught up to your MMR, it's still going to take a while to get there, which will take a couple placements, but if you're not playing those placements to get them done, then you're going to kind of be all over the place with that, so. It's interesting. That's why I say, like, the hidden MMR can be very confusing from the actual MMR you see, because there's two different things.
The system is a mess, and it's awful. Do you guys...
Keep in mind, that was in Overwatch 1, too. That same system with the hidden MMR was in Overwatch 1. A lot of that, I think, is generally designed so, let's say that your internet DCs 5 times, and you leave 5 games, right? And that counts as the equivalent of 3 losses per, say, 75 SR per, you know, we're just going to do some random number. You lost 350 SR. Does that mean that your 350 SR are worse because you DC'd? Or are you still at the same rank before? So they have that system lined up to be able to match you with that, right? So that way, like, even if you lose that SR, Like, even if you, like, lose that SR from, like, DCing, you still can get it back and are still considered in that rank, so you're not just going like, oh, I want to go play a rank below. I'm just going to leave games and then reconnect. So they have a system in place to do that. So that's why it does that.
You guys remember back in Overwatch 1 when the competitive system, the only times you ever needed to go through replacements was at the beginning of the season when you would do your placements? Now you need to do it every time you play the game. During Overwatch 1, once you did your placements, all you need to do...
I still wouldn't doubt if they eventually go to like an XP bar system that doesn't show your actual SR but has like an XP bar rather than just have them do placements all the time, but they might keep that.
Continue playing competitive and you would literally see your progress however the way goes. In Overwatch 2, you need to go through the same re-ranking system every single time. Half the time you don't know what you're going to get, and half the time you're probably not going to rank up.
Yep.
In most game scenarios, if you got 5 and 2, that's a rank up because you've got more than half of the, the percentage. In this game, you stay the same rank.
Well, I mean, that's because their system is like, every game's going to have a different system between how long it takes to go from like Silver 1 to Silver 2. I think what ends up happening is because they have... I don't know what it takes to go... We don't know what the exact definitive number is to get from Silver 1 to Silver 2, right? We don't know what that is. Like, you knew in Overwatch 1 it was 500 SR to go up to like a certain rank or like 1,000 SR to go up a certain rank, right? So each rank might have a different SR base, which in theory, if you went 5 and 2 in Overwatch 1, you probably wouldn't have climbed to the next rank because of that, but there also wasn't tiers. So that is once again where there isn't enough information and a definitive like way to know, okay, if I go 5 and 2, I should be able to climb, right? Okay, wait a second. Now, they do have that when you look at the percentages, but you get the percentages after you do your placements, and then you still don't know where you're at because you don't know what each win is. Is every win 12%? Is every win 5%? Is every win 7%? Is it different based off of the lobby? You don't know that stuff, so it's really hard to figure that stuff out.
I wonder why Blizzard thought this was a good idea for a ranking system. But hey, small indie company, by the way.
So yeah, so that is a lot to talk about with matchmaking. My guess is this, and I've talked about this quite a bit when it comes to matchmaking. All right, my guess is that they'll keep making changes to the matchmaking system. To give you an idea, like even Apex just made a change to the matchmaking system right now, right?
Stop playing Moira, you're losing games because of it. While many make the argument that Moira has one of the best healing outputs and damage outputs in the game, this is true to a point, but there's a reason she's rarely used in pro play. Unlike Ana or Bap, she provides no stun, no immortality, or really anything at all besides a little bit of healing and damage. And
yeah, but Moira's fun. Like, a lot of the time, the reason why people go Moira, and maybe it's just why I would, is your teammates diving. Like, here's the thing. Here's my take on this. Moira doesn't have the utility of a lot of supports, but what happens if you're playing support and you're getting dove? Like, honestly. Like, if you're getting dove and your teammates aren't peeling for you, and you're not able to stay alive, like, you're better off going Moira and having more survivability and being able to do something than just getting rolled by, like, a tracer the whole time. Or you play the TikTok more and you just go to their backline, do a bunch of damage, and go, what's going on, everybody? How are we losing this, right? Either one works. Yeah, you don't have, like, the most, like, intensive kit to be able to help your teammates. But at the same time, like, if you're getting dove and you're falling over and you're, like, 4 and 10 because you have nobody helping you peel for the back line, where are you going to get more value? And keep in mind, I don't play much support, right? Obviously, I love having, like, an Ana, Kiriko, Lucio comps, on my team when I'm playing, like, tank. But if my backline's getting dove... Or BAP, excuse me. If my team's getting dove and they're not able to survive against the backline and somebody switches to Moira to survive and they get more value, obviously it's about what's happening in each game, right? So, I don't know.
Ana nade is way more impactful than a Moira ball, and this argument can be made for pretty much every other support ability in the game. She can be abused and used as a carry factor in low ranks, but as soon as you get to even masters, you will be severely countered and out-supported due to the other healers' kits. Follow for more.
You know what is funny, though? Like, I get what they're saying about the kit. Like, there's no disagreement on, like, the actual kit where you have more of, like, that defensive utility. I do want to say I played a push game yesterday with a Moira in a top 500 game, had double the alerts of everybody else.
I've seen this pro Overwatch Baptise tech.
From downtown all the way to the point in overtime.
In this video, I'll show you how he does it and where else you can do it too. Walk to the edge of spawn and aim at the tip of the railing.
Okay, that's pretty sick.
For Lijiang, walk out of spawn and tuck yourself
That's
in
pretty
this corner.
sick.
Then aim in the middle of the first row of the windows.
Honestly?
For Oasis, walk to the right of the spawn door, then you need to aim directly on the edge of this hole.
Yeah, that is
Please
really
follow and
cool.
subscribe.
I will tell you this much, when I try to do this, I can guarantee you I'm missing by a mile. I'm gonna hit like the wall in front of me and there's gonna be a lamp in our spawn.
Yo, Coach Cuffy, I got one for you. First off, D.Va is a dive tank, which instantly makes her more complicated than most of the brawl tanks in this game. There are a lot more moving parts in a dive comp than there are in a brawl comp in a lot of circumstances. Second off, D.Va is one of the most versatile kits in the game. She can be played in bunkers, she can be played as a traditional dive tank, and hell, sometimes she can even be played in a much more brawly close quarters nature. You can have two D.Vas playing on the same map, played by different people, playing the character like they are two completely different characters. One of them could be playing anti-dive with using D.Va to make a bunker comp, while the other one could be using D.Va as a dive tank. Not only is she not the easiest character in the game, but she is definitely one of the hardest. D-Matrix management, the amount of things D.Va has to do in every given engagement. See, she's not a normal dive tank. She still has to peel sometimes. She's in a constant state of whack-a-mole.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, yeah, D.Va definitely has a lot to play in D.Va. That is for sure. I think, like, I've seen people say that where, like, they say D.Va's, like, the easiest tank to play. I think this is what this is talking about here, is D.Va has a lot of different variations, right? Like, D.Va, you can... And I think that's one of the cool things about D.Va, is, like, it has, like, a... I don't know how to explain it. Is skill ceiling? Like, a high ceiling? Like, you can really play D.Va, like, very, 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 very well. But, like, you can also play D.Va for the first time and still get good value. But, like... D.Va has, like, this wide variety of ways you can play D.Va. And that's pretty much what was explained here, which is why I didn't really, like, pause it or say anything during that, is because, yeah, D.Va is really a hero that... And obviously, I can be a bit biased because I play a lot of D.Va, but D.Va definitely has, like, defense matrix management, flight control. When do you be aggressive? Do you ever want to play D.Va like you're playing Reinhardt? What situations? What map? High ground, low ground, etc. There's a lot to D.Va. Do you peel for your backline? Do you dive in and go for their backline? Do you trade backlines? Do you fight in the middle? Do you just stay on their tank the whole time? Do you boop the Winston away? Or do you let the Winston go in so you can bait them into doing a bunch of damage? Oh, there goes my door again. Be back.
Is doing a better job than Overwatch and the entirety of Blizzard in making a PvE game. Overwatch 2 shut down their PvE production, and it's made the Overwatch community an outrage. And then DVD goes out literally a week later announcing they're making two, not just one, two separate video games. The Midwinter game is a multiplayer PvE, and the Supermassive ones is a single player. They're both standalone games that are having to do with DVD. You might notice something here in this web that Overwatch fucked up. DVD is branching out to make these games. Behavior's not the ones making these games. Midwinter and Supermassive Games have full control on these games. DVD is just letting them use their game, which is what Overwatch should have done. Branch out and make a new department for Overwatch 2 PvE and let the Overwatch people focus on PvP.
You know what I saw from all this, by the way, with this? One, I don't think they would necessarily do that. I know Call of Duty does that, right? Call of Duty has different developers on each Call of Duty game, if I'm correct. Like, you have, like, Activision and then, like, Sledgehammer, etc. But they weren't going to do that to begin with because of, like, what their PvE vision was with that. But is it, out of all of this, what I also noticed is they're doing a movie. That's going to be pretty cool. Straight up. I wonder if they're going to be doing a movie with Overwatch or, like, a TV show. I imagine they'll do a TV show one day. See, the thing with, like, the WoW movie is that they try to put too much lore into one movie. When in reality, if they did, like, a couple movies where they, like, kind of slow did the story, it probably would have been really, really, really good. Anyway. Yeah, I think a show would be good. I think a show for, like, Overwatch would definitely be a little bit more excited, in my opinion. Like, because you can... exciting because you can put more and more lore into it, right? But, I don't know. There's always been rumors of them doing that, but are they actually doing it? I don't know.
Get booped off the map and feed the enemy a big chunk of ult charge.
Absolutely, I have.
Turns out, you can rob that ult charge from them with this simple trick.
Yeah, just do damage
Since
to 'em.
charge is calculated based on the amount of damage a character does to you, if you were able to get the last
with
hit on
Zarya, you
yourself,
right-click
the
the
enemy
wall.
wouldn't get any ult charge. This is actually true, and a viable strategy to employ on heroes that are able to inflict damage
Sigma
on
Rock.
themselves. A good example of this is Zarya, as her
Yep.
right-click deals self-damage. To pull it off requires quick reflexes. As you get booped off the map, immediately look for the closest wall. Fire a right-click at it. Ideally, you deal a bit of damage to yourself, the game thinks you killed yourself, and the enemy doesn't get any ult charge. While a small tip and super situational, in a tight game, this could be the difference between losing a teamfight to an ultimate and winning a game because you have more
I mean, honestly, yeah. If you ever watched me play Zarya, we do this all the time. Pretty much anytime I get booped off the map as Zarya or hooked or anything, I'm always right-clicking a wall. It's a good tip. It's a very good tip. I've been doing this for a long time in Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2. If you're playing Zarya, right-click a wall. You can do it with Sigma Rock too, but I guess a little bit more of a time-in.
I don't hear many people talk about when trying to teach others how to win more games is the idea of limit testing. In simple terms, limit testing is just seeing how much you can get away with. In Overwatch, you are fighting against different heroes and their kits, but you are also fighting against the players themselves. It is common knowledge to know what your enemy's best tools are and to respect them and play around them. But limit testing is the idea that not all players need to be given respect. If you're playing against an Ashe, it's pretty common sense to not peek long sightlines versus her or walk around out in the open because of her marksman playstyle. She can delete you in 2 shots, and even if there's cover nearby, if you don't have a healer, all she has to do is shoot you once and get some dynamite on you. But this is operating under the assumption that the Ashe can hit those shots and that she knows how to use her cooldowns effectively. What if they're new to Ashe? What if they're having an off day? If they really can't use their character to their fullest, should you really be respecting them as a threat? Of course not.
That's why all the time, chat, whenever I'm playing tank or any hero against a Widow across the map, I always wide peek them to make sure they're able to hit their shots. They do hit their shots, but on the off chance they don't, on the off chance they don't hit their shot, then I will be able to move 5 feet on Havana and then get headshot again by the Widow. But still, that off chance. Essentially what's being said here is, if the other player you're playing against isn't playing well against you, you can play more aggressive. Which, I mean, yes.
If they suck, abuse them. If you're confident you can beat someone in a duel, even when they have the advantage, then beat them in that duel. Do you know how when pros do unranked to GM challenges and they run around in your gold, plat, diamond lobbies basically doing whatever they want, even though when we try to do that we struggle really badly? It's because they know the limits of those players. And so to us it looks like they're doing whatever they want, when in reality they just understand what the enemy can and cannot do.
Yeah, like I said, I peek Widows all the time. It works.
Monsieur, does this mean Overwatch is back?
No.
Listen. Aw. Well, here's what I will say. If you haven't seen this cinematic, it's awesome. It's called 0 Hour. Great cinematic. I just want to point that out. Cinematics are awesome.
Get people confused on why the Overwatch community is so upset about the recent PVE announcement, claiming that it's just a game and that we're gonna get PVE anyways in a different format. So I just wanted to clarify some stuff for everyone. I started playing Overwatch in late 2016. I kept playing the game nearly daily for the next 2 years and saw that the game I loved was not receiving the same amount of love from the company that was developing it. Balance updates were scarce, making metas drag for long amounts of time. The events were repetitive, as we would get the same rotating game modes every time holidays rolled around.
Just talk about that. That's why, like, right now with the current, like, I think cadence is the correct word. Why people are like, oh, do you think the seasons are too short? Anyone who played Overwatch 1 during that time is going to be like, no, I'm good with how much we're getting content now consistently. And that's because in Overwatch 1, that's what happened. After like 2 years, 3 years, there just wasn't any consistent content. If a balance patch happened, like, here's what would happen. Anytime there was a balance patch, you knew it meant there was going to be months before the next one, before the meta would even shift, which meant there was like year-long metas. And Overwatch had that for a while, where like Overwatch 1 ran into this issue where you had year-long metas, because even when they made those changes, they were very rare. And even if they did make the changes, sometimes they were more like buffing other heroes, like, okay, let's give Soldier more damage to help against like goats. But like then it would just still dominate because there wasn't changes, and you knew it wouldn't be a while for that. So it was very, very small changes, which is why now when people are like, do you think 9 weeks is still too quick for a season? It's like, nope, I like seeing stuff in the game because in balance and all these changes because we didn't get there for a while.
I stopped logging in every day. I only really started playing during Anniversary to grind credits to get skins, and then I stopped at around mid-2019 completely. Then There was the Overwatch announcement in late 2019. We were promised a seamless transition where we'd still be allowed to play the original Overwatch, but the sequel would include a better engine, more frequent balance update, new heroes, skill trees, hero missions, updated events, and so much more. The creators that went to BlizzCon in 2019 played the beta and said it was new and exciting. Everyone was excited for what Overwatch 2 would bring. Activists let us know that this would also mean updates for the original Overwatch would slow down in preparation. No new characters, no real substantial balance would occur because they were preparing for the PVE. So we did all we could. We waited for 2 years. After 2 years, we received a game that, well, yes, was more highly polished, had slightly better balance with 5v5 PvP, also seemed like it was kind of ridiculous that it would take 2 years working on this game to make. They mentioned it was because a lot of their efforts were focused on the new PvE, and we had no reason to doubt them, since PvE was something a lot of people were excited about. Then this recent announcement dropped that PvE was not going to release the way we
To talk about PvE for a second, I would talk with chat all the time about how excited I was for talent points and like talents and deep hero trees, because I just knew the replayability, right? Like a lot of the times now with PvE you get the events, and the events are cool, right? Like when you get like a new PvE event, they're generally fun. It's just the replayability that became a concern, right? Because you'll go and play these events, and then, you know, for example, like when during the recent Halloween event, I had a blast going for like the rank 1 leaderboard with Seagull, Karq, and Flats. It was a great time. But after you got that rank 1 and we did that, where was the replayability, right? There just wasn't any replayability. So that's what hero talents and all that was going to bring to the game, was like, okay, even if you have an event or you have like this PvE content, you can go and replay that and have something to strive towards, like grinding towards. And that's what people really wanted. I mean, I even talked about it then. I was disappointed about that because I like both PvE and PvP. I always have in any games. And just talking about that in a little bit, like, it would have been really fun to have at least some version of those talent trees, to be able to grind and make like really fun characters and have that replayability, right? Now, there's other ways you could add replayability to PvE, and maybe they eventually will. That could be through like similar things of like, you know, affixes or like Mythic Plus stuff that you see in like WoW, right? Those can be fun and add a little bit of replayability because you can always kind of increase the difficulty of what you're doing. But overall, the talent trees are going to be able to allow you to kind of take a hero, customize them, have fun, etc. So just talking about that a little bit. Like, obviously, you're still getting that PvE content and like that PvE stuff, but you're not getting that exact thing that was announced, which was really exciting to a lot of people, because then you could just go and invest a lot of time into PvE if you don't feel like playing PvP, or you're just a PvE fan. You know what I'm saying?
we thought. No replayable hero missions, no skill trees, no big release with tons of content that would excuse the 2 years of drought, but instead get some seasonal PvE missions that sound similar to the old annual release, and no talents. Almost a skeleton of the content we were promised. Imagine if the thing you invested time into, hundreds or even thousands of hours of your time into, that had this almost unlimited potential to be one of the best PvP games in the world. Instead, the people behind it threw it away and made it into a sad, underwhelming, and disappointing game. I also feel like this is a good time to mention that the people I'm talking about are not the developers. For the most part, they are just as mad as we are, and there will also be exceptions to this as well, but Activists is well known for crushing passion in their development team by giving projects that take up dev hours that are never released, will never see the light of day due to horrible upper management and decision making. Activists. Have a good one.
There's a very long, like, just talking about PvE stuff. And I think there's a lot of, like, valid points in there that was mentioned. I think one thing, like, and maybe, like, I think it's okay to enjoy the PvP and still be disappointed by the PvE. Is that a good way to kind of explain that? Like, you can still, like, people in chat are like, oh, I like you can still, like, enjoy the PvP, but also be disappointed in, like, where the PvE has gone.
About Overwatch with minimal effort, this is the one tip I can give you. Stop shooting the tank. Tanks are designed to mitigate damage and survive as long as possible. If there's nothing else to shoot, it's good to shoot the tank. You build ult, you break Ryan shield, things like that. But otherwise, shoot anybody else.
You know what? I like this. Is a great TikTok right here. Please stop shooting the tank. All right? You know what? I agree. You're right. You know what? Some of these TikToks have been kind of all over the place. Some have been informative. Some have been deep discussion. I can't disagree with this. You're right. Don't even waste Discord orb on the tank. I agree. You know what? I would say don't even waste Discord orb on the tank. Is there even a point? You know? I am with you on this one.
You
I'm
apply
not biased
pressure
at all here.
even if you miss by just targeting other people and making them afraid, conditioning them that they can't peek as freely. You hit DPS and you make the supports freak out. You hit supports and make the other support freak out. You hit the tank and they just heal them. Trust me, just shoot other people. Let me know if it helps in the comments. And remember, for every follow, a racist gets banned.
So I will say this much right here. Absolutely do not shoot the tank. Do not shoot the tank. I may or may not play tank. Am I being biased when I say don't shoot the tank now and agree with that? Maybe. I'm just saying, if they just said right there, the tanks will get healed anyway, right? You know what? Whenever I tank, do I ever get one shot or fall over or don't get healed? Nope. Don't shoot the tank. You're right. I'm with you on that one.
Super quick tips to improve with Zenyatta. Tip number 1, place the Discord orb on somebody. You see, what it does is that they take 25% more damage from all sources. Since some people have difficulties visualizing this, I want you to imagine that every time you place Discord orb, 25% of a player's HP goes poof, faster than my dad that time he went to get cigarettes. By the way, I'm still here and I'm still waiting, Dad. Tip number 2, you should place your healing orb on somebody because it heals and that's good, but it's less important than placing Discord orb on somebody because that makes 25% of, for example, a tank's HP go poof faster than your bowels on.
First of all, how do we go from don't shoot the tank to put Discord orb on tank? Okay, listen. No, put the Discord orb on somebody else. All right? No shoot the tank. We just talked about this. No Discord orb on the tank. If you put it on the DPS or support, it's going to be better. No, don't shoot the tank. We just went through this, okay? You had us at the don't shoot the tank. Now you're going, oh, put Discord orb on the tank. No.
On Miralax after Taco Bell. Just gone. Tip number 3. Did you know that Zenyatta can kick people? He can kick people away. So if somebody dives on you, you know what you do? You kick them. You kick them away from you, and then you place Discord orb on them, and now suddenly they're dead. People who follow me live happier, healthier lives.
Don't kick the tank. Don't Discord orb the tank. Don't shoot the tank, because then I will go back to spawn. Actually, no, because one of my bits is I'm a tank. You can shoot the tank. That's fine.
Part 5. First one, we have the B-hop. If you spam your space intermediately after fireball, you'll keep some of the momentum and go faster. The second one, we have the stair acceleration. If you set your jump keys to scroll up and down, and then go into a wall and a stair in a corner like this, then if you spam your scroll wheels, you'll eventually go faster than if you were to jump normally and get out of spawn. Finally, we have the wall climb. If you hook onto an area behind a big wall and the hook is long enough, if you go sideways and press space at the right time, you should have a big increase in height, and then you should be able to pull off pile drivers.
Yo, those are great tips. I ain't gonna be able to do any of those. Yo, I barely can get out of the spawn doors with my keyboard and mouse. Like, just using it like normally. Listen, these are useful tips, and I think that if you play a lot of Wrecking Ball, these are great tips, and we've seen tips from this channel before, and I think they're very useful. Definitely, like, follow for Wrecking Ball tips. You know what my wall jumps consist of? Me just bouncing against a wall. I don't even get any air. I pinball. There's a reason why they call me on Wrecking Ball Pinball Peter, because I don't do anything on Wrecking Ball. Anyway, those are the TikTok reacts today. I hope you enjoyed these. If you want to see more of them, in my Discord, we have a section called TikToks to watch. Generally, we have TikToks posted there to react to. Basically, the more that we get posted there, the more often we'll have videos like this to react to. The problem we ran into is we don't have many submissions for them. And when we do get submissions, it's usually, yeah. There's some the rules and all that and where to post the TikToks are in the channel. Join my Discord to do that. Hope you like this video. Hit the like button. Sub to the YouTubes if you haven't. Hope you all have an amazing day.